Hello, good morning, and welcome to the 12th episode of VspireLab Facebook Live interview series. Today with us, we have Mr. Razif Aziz, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Cradle Fund Sdn Bhd and also the Executive Director of Malaysian Business Angel Network. So, he is here to share with us on how Cradle Fund Sdn Bhd will be helping the startup ecosystem and small-time business owners to commercialize their product and services. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Razif to give a brief introduction of himself.
Well, as you said, first of all, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you for being here with us.
This morning. As you mentioned, I am the Chief Operations Officer of Cradle Fund Sdn Bhd, and I also help run the Malaysian Business Angels Network, where I am the Executive Director. Basically, I am in charge of the day-to-day running of things.
So you carry two jobs with you?
Well, if you're suggesting that whether it's a lot of work, yes, it is a lot of work, but it's manageable.
It's manageable. Yeah. So they tie in together as well, right?
Yes, it ties in simply because Cradle Fund looks at the entire early stage ecosystem. So we are involved in different aspects of ecosystem development and angel investing. And the development of angel investing here in Malaysia happens to be one of them.
It's one of a development stage initiative by Cradle.
Correct.
Before that, could you introduce yourself, your your education, your early work life, and how you got to Cradle?
I'm a lawyer by training. I did my law in the UK, in a small town up north called Coventry.
Coventry?
Yeah, no famous football clubs there.
Okay.
Well, some might argue that, Anyway, I did my degree there. I did my bar in London. I was at Lincoln's Inn.
Yes.
Yes, or Lingham's Inn.
Lingham's
The only inn of court that serves the Lingham chili sauce. Yeah, it's the only place that you can get that.
So that's how Lincoln Inn became
No, I mean,
it's called.
It's very popular among Malaysians
right.
who do their law, or at least the bar vocational part of their legal training there. So I guess they cater to the Malaysian crowd.
Possibly there's an Asian mart right next door.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, I was called to the bar then, and then I came back to Malaysia. I chambered at a firm that I suppose no longer exists now.
Okay.
It was called Rashid & Lee. It now exists as Sharizad Rashid & Lee, I think.
Okay.
And after my chambering period, I did not stay. I wasn't offered a position. So, and I suppose I wasn't really interested to become a lawyer myself. After that chambering period, I decided to join a company. And from then on, I did a lot of different type of, I was in different function areas. I was in business development, I was in, you could call it sales, I was in consulting. I did a lot of different things along the way, and I think I found my footing somewhere midway in my career when I joined the Multimedia Commission, where I became I was part of their legal advisory department. Right. And that's where I found my footing, in a sense that, or my calling, I suppose, where it's an area that allowed me to apply my legal knowledge, I suppose, or my legal foundation, basic, and at the same time look at how it impacts on businesses and the technological aspects of the business. Of a business, sorry. Okay. And from there, I joined Philip Morris. Again in a corporate and regulatory affairs position. So that's from that point onwards. It was about legal. It was about regulatory affairs. It was about how these things impact on the business, and how also things like technology impacts on the business, and how these things converge.
All right.
And
So
after that,
that was when you you got to know that how technology is growing in Malaysia, how it should be helped as in a proper ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, these things are all connected in a way. How policies and laws and regulations in the country impact on the growth of business, for example. And again, how technology impacts on that. So it's sort of like a two-way thing. Technology, developments in technology requires the law policies to change.
To accommodate technology growth.
Yeah. So from Philip Morris, it was biotech after that, and eventually I found my way here. I mean, to Cradle. But all along the way, I was exposed to different aspects of business, and right now the focus is more on early stage startups. The earliest stage of development, as companies are being built by their founders and all that. And I suppose from my different eclectic background, I'm able to sort of like bring different perspectives.
Actually, that gives a richer experience, like a mind.
Yeah, it also means that I'm not really an expert in any particular area, if you can say that. But I'd like to think what I bring to the table is sort of like a diversity of knowledge that I then just pull everything together to help.
But you get like a macro view of everything, like a bird's eye view, instead of diving deep inside a subject matter. So also, like, now since you're in Cradle as the chief operations officer, so what does this job
I look after function areas like legal, of course, the company secretarial part of the business, human resources. I also look after all our not sort of like
non-revenue generating.
It's what I call downline lane. The alternative funding options that, or the things like angel investing, equity crowdfunding, peer-to-peer. Now that Brusa has launched its Leap market, we'll probably look at that as well. Basically, stuff that are not actually our products or services, but they are things in
helping
the ecosystem that will help support startups.
So what are the actual products of Cradle that's helping budding entrepreneurs?
We're well known for our grants. I mean, primarily, I think when people talk about Cradle, it's about our grants. Yeah,
it's like two words: Cradle grants.
Yeah, we've been around since 2003, and it's always been about grants. The grants have changed along the way. Over the 14 odd years Cradle has been around.
14 years, yes.
And the current grant product that we have is CIP 300, which is a very early stage grant for technology startups to basically build their minimum viable product, their MVP, and then take it to market. We also have now, as of 2015, 2016, we've moved towards equity. So we're slowly transitioning away from grants, although we still think that grants are still a vital element for the startup ecosystem. It still has a role to play.
Yes.
But we feel that transitioning to equity
crowdfunding
is the way to go. Not equity crowdfunding, but equity. Equity funds or equity investments is the way to go for our ecosystem here, because that's how it works abroad as well.
So investors come in and they buy equity from the startup?
Yes, we basically provide funds in exchange for equity.
Okay, so the grants, like a normal question that someone would ask is like, how do I pay back and what are the terms for the grants?
Well, I mean, they're called conditional grants. So they're not free money like a lot of people think,
Definitely.
like grants.
And nothing is free.
And nothing, if I feel nothing's going to happen, like, in most cases, we do recover grants if there are terminations and stuff like that. And, we also recover funds, not the total amount, but basically a certain percentage back if you successfully secure follow-on funding, for example.
Okay.
So basically, after our grants, after we've given you, given the startup fund,
and you go to the next level of fundraising,
and you're successful in securing further funding from other investors, we do want to recover a certain portion.
Definitely.
That money then goes back towards a pool which
it's redistributed to other
so
entrepreneurs.
it's sort of like make it available for others.
Actually, that's the right thing to do, to give to the next person. Like, I've benefited enough from this and I'm on the next level of fundraising, so it's time to
you're then a success story.
No, I actually, like, what I'm trying to say is like, people should actually think about who helped them in the early stages and use the funds supposed to go back and help the next person.
It's that, or another way. I think it's something that's becoming more and more the norm today, is that a lot of startups, startup founders who actually, even if they haven't actually exited or made their millions yet, and they're still, struggling to take their companies forward, they are already doing that. They are, they are giving back in terms of, coming back and doing coaching, giving back in other ways. And I think that's important because again, it's something that happens a lot in the US, and it's something that people people probably know, but they don't realize that it happens a lot, and it's what makes the ecosystem stronger. When people start doing that,
I think when something like that happens, like a successful entrepreneur comes back and gives the community, it creates a role model for people to follow. He can do it, I can do it. Something like that. Someone to look up to.
And the other thing to point out is that people learn from not only success stories, and because everybody's fixated on success stories, it's also, people probably learn more from failures.
Definitely.
Although we are as an ecosystem, as a society, I mean, here in Malaysia and Asia in general, people are still a bit, hesitant talking about failures. But what people don't realize is that the failures of people who've gone ahead of them can help others who are,
it's like
after that.
See, I did a mad move. I faced my
what
consequences.
Works, what doesn't work.
Don't be like me.
So those, you can share those things as well. Why this startup failed and why this succeeded.
Compare both the models.
Compare both models. Learn from what works, what doesn't work. And a lot of things, it's about how you run the company. It doesn't necessarily mean it's all about the business model or the business itself, but it could be how things are run, how you organize the company, things like that.
Even like a company culture, they say.
Leadership style, company culture, things like that you can learn from that as well.
Like some places they have, like, if you come late, you have to put in a certain amount of money. And lunch hour, everyone gets to.
It's about, I guess in that case, it's about accountability.
Yes.
About responsibility, accountability, things like that.
Okay, so like that. Do you going deeper into your CIP, like 300 program? Most people always only see the money, like 300,000 or something like that. What else comes with it?
Well, once you come on board, from this year onwards, we are also looking to provide a range of benefits.
Okay.
I call it benefits. So it could be services, if you want to call it services. We will make those things available to startups that become successfully secure the funding. It can range from marketing assistance, things like capacity building. So a lot of workshops, a lot of there will be networking assistance as well. Will help you connect you with investors, with other partners, with corporates as well.
I
so
see.
it's a whole range of services. We call it value-added benefits. Yeah.
It's
that will go together with the grant.
It's like when you're applying for a job, you compare companies and see what does this guy give me and what's the benefit.
I'd like to call it like membership has its benefits. So in a way, you are becoming a member of a select group, of a select community. I mean, when I speak to entrepreneurs, one of the things that I leave them with is that know the space you're in. And then look at who, in terms of the government agencies, who the agencies that are
related,
sort of like in charge of that particular space. And make sure you are embedded in that community, in that ecosystem. So it could be MDEC, it could be us, it could be Bioeconomic Corporation, it could be Magic. Magic probably is sort of like the umbrella organization, so because they support entrepreneurship in general. So in the case of Magic, you can be a part of that ecosystem as well as so you and once you're part of that that ecosystem, whoever's it is, you then get the benefits flow from that. You will be on someone's contact list, and you will get informed of things that are happening,
networking events.
In fact, it will be you could say that there's so much happening at any given week that
actually
it's like you're spoiled for choice whether you want to go, you don't want to go. You can pick.
I'll go to the one far away from your house, or a little closer to your house.
And it's a whole range of things. It could be workshops, it could be events, conferences, it could be investor meetups, it could be whatever it is, And everybody's doing something. But the important thing is to be part of that ecosystem, and you get to be a part of this ecosystem if you participate in something that agency is offering.
So to reiterate, it's like know your space. Which sector are you servicing? What products are you selling? Know your space, and to get in touch with the relevant agencies
or organization that's looking after that space. You can't. One thing that I think a lot of the good entrepreneurs or good startups realize is that you can't do this all by yourself. So it's either you need the help of the government or government agencies like ours, or likely you will also need the help of partners, other companies, learning from them, things like that. So never do this alone, because
higher chances of failure.
Actually it does increase chance of failure, unless you have everything. You have all the money in the world, you have all the resources in the world,
but still time is limited though.
I mean, at the end of the day, partnering with somebody, collaborating with people, because one thing that I think a lot of people are starting to realize that building a business is a multidisciplinary thing. In fact, the business model itself requires you to have a whole range of people with different competency, skill sets, right? And those skill sets, you may not have all of them. When you build your founding team could just have one or two guys.
The founding team could be just a programmer and maybe two programmers.
You can take it up to a point, and you will realize that the founding team is already at its capacity in terms of what it can do, its knowledge and all that. So that's when you have to start reaching out. And being part of a community, being part of a ecosystem helps that.
So besides that, do you have regular classes for example for CIP 300, is there a meetup or like a batch of intake that you just taken in? Would you have like a class session for them? Or?
Okay, we don't have class sessions per se, but from this year onwards with the CIP 300, when we announced the first batch of recipients, I mentioned the range of benefits that we'll be offering as well. There will be things like workshops and all that will be made available.
Okay.
And it will be made available on a regular basis. It's just a matter of whether you want it or not. You know, we'll make it available. It's there.
It's up to them to come.
So if you think you want to attend a class on, how to handle GST, because you can't run away from it anymore. Maybe more technical stuff like maybe coding, some sort of related, something legal. Maybe something to do with angel investors. How do I find investors? How do I attract them? How do I engage with them? So we'll run a whole range of things that we think will be useful for startups. So so it's not classrooms like in that sense, but because we understand that entrepreneurs are also very busy. So it's a case of making it available and really leaving it up to you.
If maybe this wouldn't be suitable for me, the next class I'll go attend.
It could we could even repeat the same thing if it's very popular.
Yes.
Like that.
Okay. Besides that, like you also have this Coach and Grow program, right?
Yes.
How is it different from, example, CIP?
Well, the Coach and Go program has very specific set of objectives. If you mentioned some earlier, you are matched according you in that same cohort or same group of people, you will probably go attend this sort of like a group that's specifically for, say, if you're very early stage, it will be go-to-market module, for example.
All right.
And then there'll be a go for growth. So each one of those modules will be matched according to, you'll be matched according to your stage of growth. So, and each those modules will have very specific sort of goals and objectives.
All right.
You will be set sort of like KPIs, in fact. And at the end, when you graduate, the hope is that you have actually achieve the
target of that program
and goals,
let's say,
for that particular module. So maybe you actually got your product to market. So all the assistance, the mentoring, the guidance, the coaching,
for that target
will be for that target, to achieve that target. So the Go for Growth guys will be a different set of instruction and mentoring.
Yes.
While there'll be things like the Go Global companies.
That's
will be
the next stage probably.
Yeah. So those guys will get coaches who have the knowledge or have the experience of taking things global,
at least first level outside Malaysia.
Outside Malaysia, So the targets could be by the end of that program, you would have already established an outpost in the US or in Singapore. So the instruction or the guidance and the support you get will be designed to achieve that
target. So, example, like, do you have a time limit to achieve all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I could be wrong, but I think it's over a 12-month period.
12-month period. Okay.
So, so within that set period of time,
they have to achieve their targets.
You have to achieve that.
Okay. Let's say I've completed Go to Market. Will I be eligible to join the next Go to Global or something like that?
Well, okay. The thing is, as with all these programs, resources are limited. I mean, we work with what we have been given to us. I don't see any issue you reapplying the following year. I don't think that's a problem. But it is competitive. I mean,
so many applicants.
A few hundred will apply, and there are limited number of seats. So if you get on board, chances are, because we actually select companies, and we try, so there is a lot of filtering as well. We want to know that you are actually.
Could you share some of the qualifications to?
No, I mean, again, it depends on which stage of development. So if you meet the criteria for the Go Global, I mean, no point, you've just hit the market and suddenly you apply for the Go. It doesn't make sense.
You have to create a
So-
foothold in Malaysia first.
So the success of the program, it's presently in its fourth iteration or fourth cohort or fourth season, if you want to call it, is that there is a lot of pre-work done in terms of selecting the motivated, because it is you do have to spend time. You have to come and attend. Some of it will be classroom, some of it will be one-on-ones with mentors and stuff. So you must be motivated, and you must match the intended module, you know.
Right.
Chances are, if you go global, you are probably already a company that is fairly established here in Malaysia, and maybe already looking at, okay, I'm ready to now expand to other markets, and the products that you're talking about are suitable for global markets.
You have to find that out.
Things like that. So there's a lot of filtering, selection, and before we even select, you know, the successful applicants.
So, example, like someone has a product that's not marketed even in Malaysia yet, but how would you gauge them? Like,
Not even in the market. Well, even if it's not even in the market here in Malaysia, I mean, it's in the market somewhere.
Or if it's in development stage.
Okay, in what context are you talking about? The CGP or generally speaking?
Generally, how would Cradle help?
Well, the CIP 300 does help you get to minimum viable product stage. If you understand what minimum viable product is, basically it's not
most
proof
basic.
of concept, it's not prototype, it's past that. Basically, it is the product itself in its bare minimum.
It does the task that it's supposed to do.
Yeah, the bare minimum possible for you to put it out into the market. You can add functionalities later. So yes, I mean the CIP 300 is designed to do that.
300
Because you have to understand, we support companies in, technically speaking, is like already ready for commercialization. So the boundary is that we don't support pre-commercialization or R&D stuff from the universities unless it's already ready to,
let's say
go to the market.
It's just a research paper or something like that. That's not viable for that.
Yeah, the money isn't enough anyway. Chances are, you know, it's. I mean, at the end of the day, things being what they cost these days, the CIP 300. I mean, you really have to like put your mind towards how you can
allocate the budget. Would Cradle be helping in teaching financial management for like someone who just got a funding from?
Probably not in the way you said, but I mean, through the process of application, we'll know who is sort of like able to do that. Chances are, if you're like fresh, you have no idea how the financials work and all that. Chances are it will show, because it's either from the pitch process or from your applications and your submissions, and chances are there will be a question as to whether this would be a good startup to back. And it could be that you won't be able to secure the funds in the first place, because I mean the level of support the government provides is already tremendous. I mean, we are among the top in the world, and it's unheard of in other countries. And a lot of people comment. I've heard comments. I can't really give you hard data, but things like people saying, "Wow, Malaysia is doing all this for the entrepreneurs." In the US, it's not like that at all. I mean, we don't like fall over ourselves trying to provide all the support and all that. Because the market is so mature, a lot of these skill set and competencies are already there.
Acquired by on the process
organically, through. I mean, either so. For us, it's fairly new. So I suppose, well, arguably speaking, it is fairly new. So the government needs to help it along.
Nurture.
But I foresee a day where the government needs to sort of like
Back
step
off.
back,
Okay.
because at the end of the day, the success of the startup is really dependent on the entrepreneurs themselves.
Yes.
If you're not cut out, you don't have the skill sets, the basic skill sets and all that, perhaps you shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
Because or rather you can still do it. It's just that probably the government won't provide you the support lah.
Okay.
You can still do it yourself
On your own. Find your own financing.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep going.
I mean, and that's the way it should be. The government can't, in a sense, that the government can't keep pouring resources.
Actually, as you said, it's right. You're right that one day government has to take a step back and let the community itself take care of itself.
Yeah, I mean, another way to look at it would be the startups we saw in the early days, maybe 5-10 years ago, and then when you compare to the ecosystem today, there probably is a difference in terms of sophistication, knowledge. What entrepreneurs nowadays you talk about pitch, most people know how to pitch already.
Yes.
There was a time when people like, hey, macam malu-malu,
like what is supposed to be in a pitch,
exactly. So we have enough people who made it, success stories, or at least people you look up to and you can model yourself. We have all these success stories already that the quality has improved. I'm not saying that in the past it was bad quality. It's just that people. It's just a function of awareness, exposure, and all that. So the other way I was talking about to look at it would be as quality of startups increase, then there will be less need to keep pouring resources into this area. I mean, at least from the government's perspective, the ecosystem itself has lifted itself.
Yes.
To the point where they are able to do a lot of the basic things already.
On their own. And even like today, compared to even 2-3 years ago, there's more information readily available for today's guys.
I mean, like explosion of information. How to set up a startup? You Google it, and you can spend days just looking at stuff on YouTube, the articles,
YouTube videos,
and you probably get an idea of, okay, this is how I start.
This is how I start. And when would I need extra help? Maybe from another team member.
Yeah.
So I've seen a project management sheet for a startup, and they break it by probably 4 different stages: ideation up to your completed product. It says what to do at every process. So this information really helps entrepreneurs today compared to probably when you started 2003. So over the years, how many startups or entrepreneurs has Cradle helped grow?
I don't have the numbers. 700,000 plus. I think the com team can probably give you that information.
A lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, last year alone we got 1,000 plus applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this happens every year and it keeps growing.
It keeps growing. Yes. Yeah.
Is during your stay there, have you seen some startups, entrepreneurs not using the facilities provided properly?
Well, every year there will be people or startups like that. I mean, it's there could be many reasons. In terms of when you say not using the facilities properly, I don't know. It could be they're so bogged down with building the business that they didn't have the time to pay attention to what's going on around them. I mean, to be fair, the process of building a business is intense. It takes a lot of your time. So being able to build that while still engage with the ecosystem, build partnerships, relationships, and all that, it is quite challenging. I mean, so You know, there will be the odd one or two who will not be engaging with the ecosystem. I mean, although we've provided all the means, you don't see them at these events and all that. But hey, I wouldn't say it's right or wrong. It's a choice. At the end of the day, again, this seems, if the suggestion is that, you know, oh, maybe we should do something about that as well. But it's like,
you're forcing them to do it.
The government can't be hand-holding everything, you see.
Exactly.
The success of entrepreneurs is really dependent on themselves. You know, their motivation to succeed.
See, I've helped you enough.
Yeah, the business model, the strength of the business model, your idea, you know, things, and how well you market it, how well you build that business. So it's really not the government's role to do that, but we provide you with the tools.
Right. If you want, come and use it.
Exactly. I mean, otherwise we might as well own you. And then you see, this is where it starts to break down. I own you, and then you become mere employees. The whole concept of entrepreneurship breaks down, because there will no longer be a motivation to build a business, because you're just an employee. It's not yours.
Right.
So I think there needs to be a realization that I know there are also people who criticize the government, you know, like maybe they didn't get support or whatever. I mean, I empathize, but at the same time, if you realize the kind of stuff that's happening on a day-to-day basis with all the agencies and all that, there's so much. And yes, I agree that there could still be things that could be better, but we have to work within
what
resources,
limited
that we
resources.
have.
Yes.
And on Cradle's part, we just our commitment is to make the best that's available at any given time.
Right.
But we do hope that the entrepreneurs are as motivated as we are to achieve success. You know, it's a two-way thing. We help you, we synergize with you, we
lift you up.
Yeah, and after that, it's your show. You know, your success is our success.
Right.
You know, we're not gonna be the ones who will reap the benefits of your IPO once you reach it, or when you exit. You know, someone buys you.
Over.
You know, we'll continue to do what we do.
Okay.
You know.
So another question I would like to ask is, what's after Cradle like for an entrepreneur? Yes.
Well, it's also one of the things we do. We do try and sort of like help entrepreneurs. Sort of like we give them the way, we give them the direction. You know, you could. This is where our work in the alternative funding options or
line.
Yeah, plays a role in a sense that beyond Cradle, it could be angel funds, and angel investors. So we will do what's necessary to help you connect with those angel investors.
So you also like the executive director of Mban.
Yeah.
Will that like help out?
Yes, I mean, so we engage with the community as well in terms of what opportunities there are available in terms of angel funding.
Right.
Mban itself does monthly pitching sessions.
Yes.
So if you're interested, you just go to our website, mban.com.my, and you look for the link that says, you know, if you want to pitch to angel investors, that's available.
mban.com.my.
Yes, correct. So, and that's every month. We also help, you know, beyond the funding that we provide, we also help with equity crowdfunding operators, connect with the companies that are under our care. You know, so these things happen almost, I would, the word is, I suppose, seamlessly. I mean, it's not like
hand in hand.
People get referred when you're ready, you know, because there is a relationship with the people that you know, the CIP team, CIP 300 team, or
the mentors team. The mentors for the team would
there will be mentors as well,
and they will be like sending you.
So these different elements will play a role in sort of guiding the company which direction, you know, in terms of further funding, collaborations, looking for partners, looking for markets, things like that. Yeah.
So together with Cradle, you have like co-investment partners as well.
Yes, correct.
So could you like explain more about that?
Well, we will co-invest with partners, partners who bring us deals, you know, things. So you see, when this is the thing about ecosystems and communities and all that, and the fact that you need to work with other people. You don't have a perfect view of the ecosystem yourself. At any given time, if you think you know every startup there is out there, then you're wrong. You know, there will be pockets out there that you can't reach, you don't know about. You know, so the more ecosystems or the more communities you engage with, so that's why I say don't just connect with us. Connect with Magic, or if you are ICT, chances are you'll connect with MDEC
all
as
the
well.
agencies in the space.
Correct. So it works for funding as well. You know, there will be deal flow that our partners will bring to our attention that we like. Then we can co-invest. I mean, then the benefits are, you know, in different ways. It could be that the co-investment partner is only willing, or from their perspective or their strategy, they want to put only X amount. Okay. So, but then the entrepreneur requires a bit more, and we could come in and
bridge the gap.
Yeah, come in for that portion. Okay. Of course, I'm simplifying things.
Yes, definitely.
A lot here, but basically, what it means is that it will bring, from Cradle's perspective, it will bring deal flow that we've missed, perhaps. That other ecosystems or other communities are supporting, so they bring it to our attention, and you know, and
so
we'll come in. Or we could also bring them along, you know, and because we have a limit in terms of how much
you bring them on board to co-invest together.
Exactly.
So how do you go out looking for these guys and all that, like startups to invest in? Do you have like a special branch or a team to?
It just doesn't happen that way. I think once you connect with
in the ecosystem,
I mean, we have good relationships with. I suppose one of the key things or key features about Cradle is that because we're so small and because we're so niche, the explanation I usually give is that we cover the whole sort of like early stage tech startup, and it's across the board, right? People like MDEC look at verticals. ICT, Bioeconomy Corporation is a vertical.
Smart city.
So I cover across. So which means I work with everybody.
Okay, you work with everyone.
It's similar in a way to Magic, because Magic looks at entrepreneurship agenda in general. So they go across as well. So they work with everybody as well. But Magic is so much bigger, than us. But it's because of our size we work with other people more, and we work equally with public as well as private sector guys. So in terms of deal flow, they come from all these relationships. Or because and they just find us because Cradle. I mean, if you're in Malaysia, you are in this space.
Cradle grants.
Yeah, Cradle is quite well known. Even then, it surprises me sometimes that there are still people out there in Malaysia that have not heard about us and what we do. Because I mean, I still find, you know, it's not like weird or unusual. I still, you know, I mean, I meet other people, you know, that are not in the, you know, in our space, and when I give them my card, and you know, like, oh, Cradle, what do you do? I said they don't know. So you see, that's the thing. If you're not in this space, you won't know.
Exactly.
If you're not an entrepreneur in, you know, tech entrepreneur, thinking of starting up or already starting up, chances are you won't know. So there will still be a crowd out there that we still need to reach.
As you said earlier, reach out to the agencies in the space. Many people, I think, the ones who are complaining that government's not doing enough, they are outside the system and they are approaching the wrong people for funding. Some go to banks, some go to like the Kun for loans.
I mean, when you say, you know, they're complaining, I suppose I mean, on a personal level, I wish we could reach out to everybody,
Do more,
right?
right.
Even we've been around 14 years and still some people, still new to what we do, and I don't think, what can I say? I think it happens. Yeah. When it happens, I sympathize. That's when I say what I mean by know your space. You
right.
know? I mean, when you think about it, strictly speaking, you're starting out a company. You say you're gonna go global. Usually, invariably, it'll be like some big dream, right? You want to be the best. So I want to sell. I want to make millions. Most people will be like that. I want to make millions. I want to be rich, right? I want to be successful, right? But don't tell me you didn't do your homework. So in a way, while I sympathize, I also would like to speak to that person who's probably making lamenting the fact that, oh, why is this? I don't know about this, or I didn't get information about this.
He didn't do his homework.
I mean, do your homework, right? I mean, what kind of homework did you do? Did you do? I mean, did you Google it? Or
even Google, your name comes up.
Okay, when you think about it, he didn't hear about us or didn't know which people to go to. Perhaps he wasn't connecting with the right crowd. Maybe because he refused to go, he or she refused to go to all these different events. So you won't know, right? So you need to get engaged. I mean, engage with everything that's out there. You can't just sit there and expect the government to here's a grant.
Come look for you.
And the government looking for you. It
Yes.
should be the other way around. The government is providing it. So I might get into trouble by saying you should look for us, but but I think what I'm trying to say here is that if the intention is to build a business, I think you need to have all the qualities that are required to build that business, and that
includes looking for the information,
being aware of your surroundings, right?
Right.
If in this day and age, and you are deep into building your fintech startup, and you haven't heard about Cradle, Magic, or MDEC, then I'd be a bit worried, where have you been?
I think
and then you say, oh, I didn't get the support and all that. Then there's something wrong somewhere, right? It's not like I've been hiding.
Yes. I think one more person is like CyberView. They have this living lab accelerator, especially for fintech.
Exactly. Okay. CyberView, perhaps I could say that perhaps people don't understand what they do. Maybe it's not immediately apparent because they know CyberView, Cyberjaya.
It's just a place in Cyberjaya?
Yeah, it's like, what do they have for us? Go Google it. Go to their website. If you know CyberView, you'll know that they have a co-working space,
right?
And they do a lot of work in this area as well. And they've done quite a bit of work over the last 5 years,
right?
To establish Cyberjaya as like a digital hub, a tech hub.
Yes.
So I think I wouldn't be surprised if there were certain support that they offer that would be interesting to ICT companies or tech startups. So it again, it's about, if you didn't go to any of our events or MDEX events, you probably wouldn't hear about it.
You wouldn't know anything. Yes.
So you have to start doing that, and not wait for things to come to you in that sense.
Fall on your lap.
Yeah. In fact, if you're thinking of that, then I'd question your ability to build this startup, because the world doesn't wait for anybody. I mean,
I've seen people who bio companies. As soon as they bio, they fire the founder, because maybe he was good for building the product, but not good at.
Well, I don't think that happens as much here in Malaysia. Not yet. I know it happens in the US. I mean, in more mature markets. I don't know for what reason, but if you ask me, my own personal view is perhaps the markets, again, the maturity level isn't there yet, to the point where people have to understand that your role as a founder may be limited.
Right.
Okay, if your dream is for the startup to succeed, right, and you happen to be the limit, I mean
Then
the
you have to
limiting factor,
come out of the
because perhaps you've never grown a business to global scale.
right.
You've been very successful at a local scale or something, you know, or up to a certain size.
Yes.
Then I mean you should be open to the idea of stepping back and allowing
someone
investors,
else, yes.
investors in this case,
Investors.
because they have the right to bring in someone with the skill sets and experience to then
take it to the next level.
and everybody wins that way. It's just that people hold on to this thing like, you know, this is my company,
I want
built this.
my baby.
But this is where I think where the mature markets like the US and Europe or wherever set themselves apart. I think it's not the only thing. It's probably one of the things. These in startups there, after a given point, they will have outside investors already.
Right.
VCs, angel investors. So they're so used to the notion of having outside investors in their company, giving them advice and all that. When you reach that sort of stage or evolution, founders or entrepreneurs in general know that this is how it works, you know, and the shareholders have as much a say in things. Which is why I mean, Apple, with Steve Jobs got forced out.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's how it is.
Right.
It was the shareholders that forced them out, right? And you cannot sort of like, stubbornly hold on to it
No,
when
you can't do that.
you could be the one that is holding. Well, in this case, he was proven right. I mean, it was his vision that took the company to greater heights. But generally speaking, in those markets, there is a understanding that, you know, for them it's like normal. It's part of it's a process. You know.
All right. Do you think Malaysia is heading in that right direction?
I think so. Again, if you look at the ecosystem, where it was maybe 10 years ago or something like that, and where it is now, we've moved ahead so much. We now have our first unicorns emerge, and we happen to be in a region that's I think very attractive to a lot of investors now. I think before 10 years ago or whenever, I mean, you don't have as many investors based out here in this region. I mean, they don't have to be in KL. I mean, just being in Singapore or something like that already tells you that there's so many already in Singapore,
looking at this area.
And more are also basing here in Malaysia, at least including Malaysia as part of their investment radar. That tells you that it's a very exciting place to be in Southeast Asia because of the size of the market, the demographics. So I think we are heading in the right direction. If anything, you want to be able to maintain the same momentum, like this very strong momentum, in the next 5-10 years.
Next to 10 years.
Yeah. Whether or not we are able to maintain this momentum will be the question.
I think we can.
The question. Yeah.
True. Actually, we have lots of support system that some government and the private side is giving us right now. Yeah. So, Mr. Razif, I think we are almost done with our show.
Okay.
Is there any last parting words you would like to tell our audience, or reinstate what you told earlier?
Again, I normally do this. Same thing I've been saying from the start. Know your space.
Know your space.
Get engaged with the right, organizations. Not just the government organizations, agencies like us, but also other companies like yours. Don't be afraid to collaborate, to partner with people.
Don't be afraid to collaborate.
Because you can't do everything yourself. The other thing I normally tell entrepreneurs is that get a mentor.
Get a mentor.
Mentor, you can call it a mentor, guide, coach, but someone that has done it before, or at least has had experience building businesses. May not be your kind of business, but it actually has that years of experience, you know. Right. And that's probably more valuable than money sometimes, you know, because you need someone to help. Because the founder's role, it can be lonely in a sense. You know, it's a cliche, people talk about this, but I think it's true, because at the end of the day, I mean, if the other guy in your team is your, you know, is your colleague or whatever, his is at the same level as you are, then you're not going to get anywhere. You see, you need that extra, you know, people. The edge. So you need that the people who has the age, or you know, I'm not saying that you should get someone old, but but
experience.
Experience. Numbers of years.
All right. I think we are done for our interview today.
Thank you.
All right, viewers. If you all have any questions, just drop them in the message below. Either us or we'll try to get someone from Cradle Fund Sdn Bhd to give you the right information. All right, stay tuned next week, same time, same day. Bye-bye.